Good morning. Good to see you here today. I know it's a long weekend. We got a lot of people traveling. We got beautiful feet going on. I've got Dale Cleveland, I hope is able to watch online. Dale went in with a UTI and then found double pneumonia and sepsis. So most of you know Dale's roller coaster ride. So he was responding to meds, and so we're thankful for that. Chris Handy had been battling for a couple of weeks with some heart irregularities, and called me last night about 5:30, and as soon as he started talking, I said, hang up and dial 911, and he did, and he had a heart attack this time. Before he'd been in a couple of times, had not had a heart attack, but his enzymes were highly elevated and stayed that way for a while, so he's on a heparin drip, and I hope he's watching today. I hope Mike Russell's watching today. Just hi to everybody that's online, and I pray that you're able to watch. Dale watches better than any of you, probably. He talks to me more about my sermons than any of you, so if you want to keep up with Dale, you need to be calling me and telling me about my sermons. He'll call and ask what I'm going to preach about. Imagine that. That's pretty good. He just says, okay, where are we this week? That's fun when you have someone that will do that to you. A little nostalgia this morning. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Everyone take out a white sheet of paper and number 1 to 10 on the left side and get ready for your pop quiz. If you're of my generation, we lived on pop quizzes. That's how you got a daily grade at school. We actually had paper, and it was in pens, and it was a really cool place to go to school. And you actually wrote those numbers down, and then they started just asking random questions about what you were studying last night. It was a way to see if you did your homework, if you were really ready for the pop quiz. And I thought this morning's lesson is a lot like a pop quiz for Jesus, until I kept reading it. And the more you read it, you realize, no, that's not what's going on at all. It's not a pop quiz for Jesus. It is his oral defense of his dissertation. For 3 years, he has laid out what his ministry is. The thesis of his dissertation is found in Matthew chapter 5, verse 20 and 21. Unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's the thesis of Jesus' dissertation. He lives the next 3 years showing that the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees is not going to get you there. That it's based upon human performance, that it's based upon how we are doing our deeds rather than what he is doing. It's based on trusting yourself, not trusting God, and certainly not believing and trusting in the Messiah. And Jesus, for 3 years, has been trying to get them to trust that he is the Messiah and to believe that. But he has this walk to go through. And as he begins to tell this parable in Matthew chapter 22 and verse 1, he again lays out his authority, where he is in the power of the kingdom. This parable could have well gone with chapter 21, but it fits okay as an introduction to our quiz time today. Jesus spoke to them again in parables, saying, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a a wedding feast for his son. He sent out his slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding feast, and they were unwilling to come. Again, he sent out other slaves, saying, "Tell those who have been invited, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fattened livestock are all butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast." But they paid no attention and went their own way. One of them to his own farm, another to his business, and the rest seized his slaves and mistreated them and killed them. Then the king was enraged, and he sent his armies and destroyed those murderers and set their city on fire. Then he said to his slave, "The wedding is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main highways, and as many as you find there, invite to the wedding feast." Those slaves went out into the streets and gathered together all they found, both evil and good. And the wedding hall was filled with dinner guests. But when the king came in to look over the dinner guests, he saw a man there who was not dressed in wedding clothes. And he said to him, "Friend, how did you come in here without wedding clothes?" And the man was speechless. Then the king said to the servants, "Bind him hand and foot and throw him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen." Well, Jesus just puts that on the ears of the people. It's pretty understandable. It's not hard until it gets really hard and is totally not comprehensible. It's not too bad. I'm going to have a wedding feast for my son. Everybody get ready. Y'all were invited. You knew it was on the horizon. You'd been sending that invitation. And we sort of hearken our ears back to the Old Testament where all of the people have been saying, the Messiah is on the way, the king is coming, the kingdom will arrive. But they just ignored him. Didn't pay any attention. Look, tell them that all the meat's already butchered. Everything's ready to go. I'm ready to start cooking. I need a number. I need to know who's there. Well, I'm going to my farm. I've got business to do. I don't like your sermon. We're just going to beat you up and not allow you to preach here anymore. That's not hard. That's what's going on in Jesus' life. He understands. But then he sends the slaves in the parable out. Just round up people. Get everybody you can to come in. Both the evil and the good. Don't even look at the quality of the person. I want both of them to come in. Fill up this place. I've got a wedding feast going. He's not conditioned by their character. Everyone's invited. And then he shows up and he sees that one guy that's not dressed right. Spilled coffee on my shirt this morning. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. I don't have a t-shirt on like Bradley, but I spilled coffee on it. I'm not dressed for the wedding very well. Cheryl gave me a Tide pen. Put it on here. The smell's making me sick, but that's just the way it goes. I won't preach as long that way, right? But it got most of the coffee stain out, right? I tried to get dressed, tried to get ready. How did you decide what to wear today? Wait a minute, we're not going to church, we're going to a wedding feast. I understand that. I'm not talking about how you're dressed today. But I am talking about the king with this expectation that he invited everybody in the country to come to the wedding feast, and he walks in and he sees a guy that's not dressed. And he throws him out into the outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Get that fellow out of here. Wait a minute, I thought you were just begging for people to come to your son's wedding feast, and now you're kicking him out because he doesn't have the right clothes on. What's going on? Well, the answer to this parable really will be clear by the time we get to the end of chapter 25. Much of it will clarify in 23. Lance is preaching next week, so it'll be 2 weeks. We'll clarify a lot of the parable. But he sows this seed out there, and then he's going to begin to unfold it. And we're going to be able to see pretty easily that the armies that come and destroy the city is going to be talking about the devastation of Jerusalem in AD 70, when the temple is going to be torn down and not one stone is going to be left upon another in chapter 24. He's going to be talking about those that had opportunity all along, but they ignored God completely. For years and years, they've ignored God and not gotten ready at all. But now then, the preaching is gone, and everyone's invited in, and we get this one character that it just seems strange for the king to look at those on the wedding floor and say, "Friend, how'd you get in here without any wedding clothes on?" How did you get in here without any wedding clothes? Coming to the kingdom will take an intentional decision. Everyone's going to be invited. Jesus' blood is going to be accessible to all. It's going to be that power that comes to everyone. And there are going to be people that come to church that, wait a minute, I don't want to be, there are going to be people that come to church that aren't Christians. There might be one here today. I don't know you that well. It's possible to go sit in the church building and not make any commitments. You can be here and not have decided who Jesus is. You can be here and not have been prepared at all. And I think part of the parable will come clear in 25, but also in 23. That it's not so much about your external as it is your internal preparation, but making an intentional decision is required. Got our youth group sitting here looking good. Did you know your parents' faith won't do you any good at all? It's their faith, not yours. Now, their faith may cause them to tell you stories about Jesus, to share information with you about Jesus, but you're going to have to make an intentional decision as to whether you believe Jesus is the Son of God. Is he the Messiah? Same thing is true for you grandparents. We've got some in the youth group that are great preachers right now, and they're going home and preaching to their grandparents saying, "I believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God." And their grandparents, "I'm not sure I can buy that right now. I had faith, but I've lost faith. God wasn't there when I needed him." We're going to have to deal with that, won't we? Did he not do what you wanted him to do, or did he not help you through what you were going through? You see, God will always help us go through what we're going through. He will always be there. Just may not give us all the answers we want. You have to have that position of faith. But you're going to have to make a personal decision intentionally that says, when I come to the table this morning, I'm coming with a sincere heart, with a heart of submission, with a heart that says, "God, I'm a sinner. I need the sacrifice of your Son's blood to save me. I am intentionally getting ready for the wedding feast." In other words, you just can't walk in off the street and say, "Okay, God, take me home." Well, that doesn't sound like grace. You said grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. No, it is grace. But it still requires the personal commitment from you that says, "I believe in what God is doing." You're not trusting what you're doing. I'm not asking you to put it in your performance. I don't care how you're dressed today, but I care how you look on the inside. I want you to look like you came to worship God. It matters to God. Jesus is looking. We don't want to make too much of a parable, I suppose. But we do want to be careful that at that examination, God even looks at people in the church, in the last group that's invited. And he asks, what made you think that that's what I was talking about? As badly as I want people to accept the wedding feast of my son, you didn't even get dressed. You didn't even attend to it at all. So let that simmer a week or two, and we'll work through it in chapter 23. If you're visiting, look online. It'll be up in a couple of weeks. Now, Jesus has sown his seed out there, and now we have to run the gauntlet of questions. We can do the rest of the chapter pretty quickly. Can you imagine being Jesus and being examined? And you're sick and tired after 3 years. You finally come into Jerusalem, you've put your face there, and you know that they're about to kill you, and you're gone into the temple, and you've turned over the tables of the money changers, and you said, this is a house of prayer, and you've upset the apple cart, and now you've preached 3 parables against them that says judgment is coming, your city's going to be burned, you're having opportunity, but you're not paying any attention. And so they begin, finally, this last push. And what they want Jesus to do is defend his dissertation. Now, that's not really what they understand. I know that. But that's really what they're going to pursue. We want you to defend your position that unless your righteousness surpasses that of us, basically you're telling us we're not going to get in the kingdom, Jesus. And Jesus says, well, duh. Right, you're not going to get in with that attitude. Here's the test. First quiz. Then the Pharisees went and plotted together how they might trap him in what he says. So the gauntlet is, well, look at the next verse, 16. And they sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians, saying, wait a minute, Pharisees and Herodians? What sort of picture have we got going on here? We understand that the Pharisees are zealous for the law, but the Herodians? They're the ones who align themselves with Rome. They're the ones who are sort of our enemies. They're the ones that are politically overseeing all of our situation. And now Jesus is on the scene, and as he defends, the first panel that comes up to ask him questions is made up of Pharisees and Herodians. There's a reason for that. Here's what the reason is. Teacher, we know that you are truthful and teach the way of God in truth and defer to no one, for you are not partial to any. Tell us then, what do you think? Is it permissible or lawful to give a poll tax to Caesar or not? That's why the Herodians are there. They are the Caesar defenders. They've set Jesus up so he's trapped no matter what he says. If he goes for Rome, the Pharisees are all over him. If he goes for Pharisees, the Herodians are all over him. They've got him pegged. It's like putting a calf in a chute. They've got him trapped. Well, y'all know Jesus pretty well. Jesus perceived their wickedness, their malice, and said, why are you testing me, you hypocrites? I'll defend. Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used to pay the poll tax. And they brought him a denarius. And he said to them, whose likeness is inscribed in this? And they said to him, Caesar's. Then he said to them, then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's. It's got his picture on it, let him have it. Pay your taxes. Should a good Christian pay taxes to the United States if they fund things we're against? Pay your taxes. At least on our money it says in God we trust, whether we do or not. At least it says it on there. We put everybody's picture on there. Hamilton, Lincoln, Washington. We got pictures. None of them set themselves up to be emperors. The Caesar set himself up to be God. It is emperor worship. His picture is on this coin. Give it to him. It's his. And render to God the things that are God's. You're made in the image of God. You stamped with the image of God. It is the Spirit of God that's upon you. You give to God what belongs to God. Give to Caesar what belongs to him. First defense. His orals are going well. Hearing this, they were amazed, and leaving him, they went away. First panel is dismissed. On that day, some Sadducees who say there is no resurrection. Now listen to their question, right? The Sadducees who say there is no resurrection. There is no resurrection of the dead. Here's the question they come up with to challenge Jesus. Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies having no children, his brother, as next of kin, shall marry his wife and raise up children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers with us, and the first married and died and had no children. Having no children, left his wife to his brother. So also the second and the third, down to the 7th. Last of all, the woman died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife... Wait a minute. What did they just say? We don't believe in the resurrection, but in the resurrection, there's nothing sincere here, no honesty. These are people that don't believe in the resurrection that are asking hypothetical questions about the resurrection. We're going to nail him on this. How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? We got him. We're going to take him down. We'll nail him. There's no way that he can answer this resurrection question. It can't be. This proves that we're right. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had her. Great theological question. Not. They didn't come asking him, tell us about the love of Jesus, tell us about how God cares for us. They don't tell him. They want to know, who's this lady going to be married to in the resurrection? Jesus answered and said to them, you are mistaken, not understanding the scriptures and the power of God. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. You people don't know what you're talking about. Let me explain to you some things. In the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels. Near as we can tell from angels, they're neuter, they're genderless. Wait a minute. We've defined our whole relationship on husband-wife scenarios. He said, you don't have a clue what you're talking about in the kingdom. Now, I don't know what your theology is about what your relationship with your mate is going to be after you're both raised from the dead. I don't think Jesus is necessarily arguing every dimension of that here. He's just saying that realm is so far beyond anything you comprehend. There's nothing physical, tangible. It's something totally different. The resurrection is going to be something different than that. And what you're defining yourself by is so strange. Don't go there. You'll be like angels in heaven. I don't have a clue how it's all going to work. But I know it'll be something so marvelous that we won't ask questions about that when we get there. But he says in 31, regarding the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was spoken to you by God? I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. Not I was, I am. Not I'm gonna be, I am. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now he says, he is not the God of the dead, but of the living. I can prove to you the resurrection of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob from the dead because God says, I am their God now, presently. I am their God. They haven't stopped existing. They haven't stopped being. And we deal with the the immortality of the soul versus the resurrection of the body. But he says, it is the resurrected Abraham. I'm his God. He lives. When the crowd heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. Notice every time we finish out one of his dissertation defenses, they were amazed. They were astonished. Well, let's try him one more time. As soon as the Pharisees see that he answered the Sadducees so well, they said, let's hit him another lick. They're coming in from the other side. So they get another panel, and this time instead of Herodians with them, they take a lawyer. Right? So when the Herodian come, you expect them to ask a political question, right? And they do. When the Sadducees come, you expect them to ask a resurrection question, and they do. What do you expect them to ask when a lawyer comes with them? A legal question. Let's ask a legal question of Jesus. Boy, his dissertation is pretty diverse, isn't it? He's having to defend in all sorts of ways. Politics, and this sect of the Jews, and now the legal sect. Well, here's what happens. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered themselves together. One of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him. Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law? Only one response. Which is the great commandment in the law? We just need to know. Boy, they have so many laws. I think they had 613 numbered, and then all of the associations that went with them. Which one's the best one? He said to them, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Number one answer. Top of the charts. Love God. Jesus goes a step further. Don't you like it when someone defends their dissertation? So there's your answer, love God. Let's go a little more. This is the great and foremost commandment. Not only is it the greatest, it's number one. It's the first. It's the preeminent one. Not only that, the second is like it. I'll give you two. I know the book. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend the whole law and the prophets Jesus throws in. They just want to know which is the greatest commandment in the law. And he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And he says, oh, and by the way, that's not only the greatest, that's also the first one. Oh, and by the way, here's the second one, love your neighbor as yourself. And by the way, that's not just of the law, that fulfills the law and the prophets. Paul writes to the Galatians in chapter 5 and says, the whole law is fulfilled in the one word, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. It's all right there together. It's all together. It's simple. Now, Jesus has finished his defense. And if you or me were trying to defend our dissertation and they didn't ask any more questions, what would we do? We'd get up and walk out. All right, they didn't ask anything else, so I don't have to say anything else. Not Jesus. Jesus sees them all there. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them a question. I got one for you guys. Y'all been asking me questions all day. Is it okay if I ask one here at the end? I've got a question for you. What do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he? They said to him, the son of David. We know the answer to this. We didn't know we were going to get to participate. He's the son of David. He said to them, then how does David in the Spirit call him Lord? Saying, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies beneath your feet. If David calls him Lord, how is he his son? Everybody knows that the son can't be the Lord of the dad. So he gives them the appendix of his dissertation. Well, just one more question back for you all. Whose son is the Messiah? Son of David. That's right. Whose son is the Messiah? Son of God? Son of God. That's right. He is both son of David and son of God. Jesus doesn't argue with him. He is the son of David. He understands that. But he's also David's Lord. And how can the Messiah be the Lord of his father? Because he is also the son of his father, God. That's how he takes on this position. And so he lays out for them his position. I'm authoritative. Give Caesar what he's got coming to him. Don't bother me about politics. I don't care about politics. I am the authority. What about the resurrection of the dead? I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am, not I was. Come on, throw something hard at me. Which is the great commandment? Love God, love your neighbor. How is it that David says that the Christ is his Lord? They don't answer. No one was able to answer him a word, nor did anyone dare from that day on to ask him another question. This guy wrote the book. He's got all the answers. I'm not going to ask him anything else. Finally, Jesus has defended his position. When we get to chapter 23, we'll have Jesus just rail as the authoritative one. He'll give us the information. But in chapter 22, your take-home gets pretty simple, doesn't it? Have you ever tested Jesus? All the time. I want to put Jesus to the test. Jesus won't play games with us. He's basically stating to us, I am the Son of David, Son of God. I am the God of the living. I am the God of the resurrected. Where else are you going to go for any question? How am I going to get to heaven? I am the answer. How am I going to have my sins forgiven? I am the answer. How am I going to learn to love my wife? I am the answer. How am I going to forgive myself? I am the answer. Jesus, well, all the promises of God are yes in him. He is always the answer. He is the answer for us. Have you decided Jesus is Lord? Lord and Christ. He is the Messiah, the Son of God. He is Lord and Christ. That's how you get dressed to go to the wedding feast. That's the faith that you put on that transforms and changes your condition. What are you doing here if you don't believe in Jesus? If you're investigating today, that's great. We want you to keep investigating. But at some point, we long for you to come to have faith that Jesus is who he says he is, does what he says he does, and empowers us as he promises to empower us. He'll let you test him. He's not beyond that. But at some point, he wants you to stop testing and start accepting. Now is the acceptable time of salvation. Now is the day to be saved. If you're convinced that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, Son of David, for mankind, but from God for us, make that confession. Have your sins washed away by the power of his blood. Allow him to add you to those who are saved. You see, that's how you know that you've moved from being being called, to being saved. That's how you know that you're chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. Be one of the chosen. As together we stand and as we sing.